Edwards on the drive, goes inside the floor. Turn him over again. Booker scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
That's right. We're back, bringing the boom on a Monday. NBA Hardwood show here with JSU Rab and myself, Nick Gone. And today's a special day, JSU. It's a very, very special day. I haven't disclosed the information out of what we're going to do, but we're going to talk about it on air and then we'll do it. It is Big T's birthday. I stumbled upon this information before the show, and now I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to annoy him. Do we spam him in the MMA chat, the NBA? What's our plan of attack, JSU? I know you probably are not as big of a fan of this, but I think it's a great idea to go after Anthony. So what should be our plan of attack here?
I do like annoying Anthony Wayne. It is fun. I will just say, though, when it comes to birthdays, me and him feel very similar about birthdays. We're not big into the whole birthday spiel and stuff like that. We don't really tell people. Just to give you an idea, I've talked to Anthony twice now today on the phone, and not just for like 30 seconds or a minute. And no mention of the birthday, no mention of, and that's how I am. I'm the exact same way. So I don't know, man. I'm all for annoying the shit out of them, but I don't know the best way to do it, because honestly, if it were me, I would not love it either. So
I know. So that's why we're going to do it. So everyone, I say we just get in the NBA chat. It's the NBA show, and I want you guys to hit the @Big T with big birthday 44, happy birthday, right? Hit him with your favorite reason why you love our guy Anthony Wayne. Say whatever you want, but it's his birthday, so show him some love in the NBA chat if you can. I was hoping he was on the show. He's sometimes on the shows on Mondays. With the NBA winding down, it's okay. He'll be back for playoffs. That'll be a good time. Of course, we got the MLB show as well today, which JSU is going to be on. So we got to move things along a little bit today, JSU. So do you want to dive in earlier, or do you want to talk about anything else?
We can dive right into it. I don't really care unless you want to talk about anything specific with the slate. We've got a few revenge spots, as Mangone likes to talk about here. Actually, a bunch of them kind of Mangone, because you got like the Giddey to OKC. And I'm sure those guys will be hyped to play against Giddey, obviously. And then you got Halliburton and Sabonis playing against their old. So you got a few revenge spots for some of these guys. And most of them are still like kind of playing for stuff.
Yeah, you got the Jazz and the Hornets, which is a tankathon game, right? So you got one of those as well.
You got a few of those tanks, but I'll say this too: those teams like the Hornets, I'm done spending up for their spend ups. No more. Playing cheap guys only. That's it. Washington's in the same boat. I refuse to get caught paying like $9K for Miles Bridges and him playing 22 minutes. I got lucky at like I refuse to do it though.
Yeah, Marcus Smart isn't against Boston. He's on the Wizards now. So I did look and I was like, oh, Marcus Smart. I was like, oh no, he's not there. I kind of thought the same thing real quick, and then I realized, oh, he's not there. But JSU, I am with you, because I saw one of the like rotations the other day, and I know it was like in the second quarter, but it was between the Pelicans and the Hornets, and I was like, no one's trying to win this game. Like, it was just clear as day. The guys that were in the game were just dog shit. Like, it's
only going to get worse, Mangone, too. It's only going to get worse. So I'm staying away from those. I'm trying to play as much of the other spots as possible. And then just the cheap guys, the cheap guys that, are maybe they come off the bench, but they, like the Wizards, they're playing a lot of Colby Jones and AJ Johnson and, those type of plays. Like, okay, fine. But like no more spending up for their guys. Refuse to do it.
Yeah, and one reason some of these guys pop is because it's just a minutes allocation, right? So if you allocate your minutes differently, you'll just get those guys to pop more, right? So
Correct.
It's just like, that's fairly simple. So it's something I'm definitely thinking more about as I build my teams. So let's dive in, though. Let's talk about the first game, Jay. So you said no studs in this game. Jazz and Hornets, 7 o'clock game. We have four games starting at 7 o'clock. So you can't really backload, right? You got to figure it out kind of quick and early. Miles Bridges is 9K. Mark Williams, 8-2. I will say, good spot for a Mark Williams, right? Like he could certainly have a massive game if he plays the minutes. But JSU is saying, nope, I'm not spending up on the Hornets anymore. Let's talk about some of the other options. Like Kyle Filipowski, 6'5", Keontae George, 6'2". I'd be curious if those guys are considered like spend ups for you, right? Colin Sexton at 5'9". That is an interesting territory where it's like, I know Filipowski's still going to play a bunch, right? So I think he's still okay even at the 6'5" price tag. As you go down the list, Yusuf Nurkic, 4'8". I know he had a pretty big game the other day. If he would start, I would like him. But with Mark Williams back, that's not something I'm going to be super enticed with a Nurkic. I need him in that starting lineup for sure. I should mention Colin Sexton. He does have that questionable tag along with Cody Williams. Those are the main pieces of injury news that we're looking at there. And then, of course, you got like the KJ Simpsons, the Nick Smith Jr.'s. And, I mean, they're fine, JSU, but I'm not dying to get to them. I think the guy I like the most as a value in this game, especially on the Jazz side of the ball, is Big O. I mean, it's so fitting on Big T's birthday for Big O to have a big projection. So at 4K, I really like him. I think he's a good play. I love targeting Charlotte with big men. So I wouldn't be surprised, too, if Big O starts with Filipowski at the 4. We'll have to wait and see what that starting lineup is. Of course, we'll have it by tip, but I'm kind of with you, JC. Let's just stick to more of the value. So Big O's probably my favorite play. Filipowski's probably my second favorite, followed by KJ Simpson, number 3. That would be my top 3 from this game. Curious to get your takes.
Yeah, I mean, you hit this game perfectly. It is fitting, too, on Big T's birthday. Big O is that Big O's his boy. He loves Big O. Tried to make him work earlier in the year. I forget if that day it worked, but I know he's a big fan of him, and he seems like a pretty good fantasy asset, someone who can come in and rack up fantasy points. So I think you got to like Big O, especially if he starts at 4K. I agree with you on the rankings. It's probably him 1, Filipowski 2. The one thing with him is he's a rookie, like he's a young kid. And he's not a starter, right, Mangone? When Utah's fully healthy, he doesn't start. So I don't put him in that same boat that I would a Mark Williams, a Miles Bridges. Those are starters, right? Those are starters that when they play, they start. But, they don't want to give them, I don't think, the full run. Filipowski, I think he can get full run here. So I'll be fine if I get to him. But Oscar's definitely the one. KJ, the 3, I think. He just had a bad game from the field, if I remember correctly, yesterday. Still had 22 fantasy points. But, yeah, shot 3 for 12 from the field. I mean, took 12 shots. He's 4,900. If he takes 12 shots again, Mangone, and he plays 5 minutes again, I think you'll be happy with whatever you get from KJ Simpson. So he's definitely the number 1 guy for Charlotte. Honestly, he's probably the only guy I want. Like, Nick Smith, they're giving him minutes, but he's just really a scorer. And I think he's a decent scorer, but from a fantasy side, I would just rather KJ. I don't see a ton else. That I really want, unless you're like playing MME and you want to add some of these other guys in there. I'm just not doing it. I'm not spending up for these guys. So yeah, Utah is definitely the more interesting side, but I like the bigs from Utah and I like KJ from Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will call out Nick Smith played 35 minutes the other day, and KJ Simpson played 35 minutes. Like they both played a ton. We'll see what they decide to do today. like KJ Simpson's this weird one where I'm like with you, JC. Like I see him and I don't get super excited about it. It's just like hard to kind of make that click when he doesn't start and he comes off the bench. If you tell me he's going to play 35 minutes off the bench, yeah, I would be interested, but I can't guarantee that, right? And it's worth mentioning too, JSU. It's March 31st. We have a lot of good value pretty much every slate, so that's why I'm not saying I don't like bench value plays, but I get a little cautious with bench value plays, right? Depends on who they are, what their price is, the situation.
Like Mangone, I think on a different slate, like someone like Saloon for Charlotte would be somewhat in play. I just think we're going to get so many value plays that we're just going to want to jam in there around his price tag. But if you're MMEing, I would throw him in the pool. He's got upside at least. I just think there's going to be better value to kind of hone in on.
So I don't X those guys out, but you know what I do? Like if Nick Smith Jr. is 16% right now, at least that's his current ownership. We'll see what ends up being. If I have like 45% early, I'm like, okay, that's not right. Like I move that down, right? I try to figure out what makes sense to me. Do I want to be even with the field, slightly over or slightly under? And if I do any of those, right, if I go slightly under, what else is that giving on my teams, right? So that's something I really try to like focus in on and think about with these bench role players. Because not to say they can't pop and have good games. They certainly can. But I need to compare versus the other values and make sure I'm in good shape. So, all right. Yeah, Don Yeezy's in the chat. Happy to have you here. We just talked about the first game. What's Beanair saying? What else shenanigans does he have to do? As baseball lineups come out, can you run through the batting order in every reliever? That's pretty good. No, I will not run through the baseball lineups. Salvador Perez did just hit a home run, if you're wondering, Beanair. So I'm sure AP is running around with the flag right now, the KC flag. There you go. But all right, next game up, Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards. Let's talk about the injury situation there. There's not a lot, but Alec Burks, he's got the probable tag. The guys that are already out, we kind of know this, but I'll run through it anyways. Jovic, Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, Andrew Wiggins, and Sadiq Bey. They're all out. Keyshawn George, Anthony Gill, and Chris Middleton. So let's talk about Miami quick. First of all, it's the Wizards matchup, right? So because it's the Wizards matchup, we have to obviously like some of the studs, right? Bam Adebayo has to be in play. Tyler Hero, even though they're 8'6" and 8'8". 6'1", Khalil Ware, he's in play as well. So those are guys I'm definitely going to look at. The bench guys, I don't know if you saw JC, but Pele Larson started the other day and had like 40 DK points. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he did. It was insane. Davion Mitchell, Haywood Highsmith. I don't know what to do with these bench guys, but I really, really do like the studs. The bench guys, I don't know if I want to like throw those darts on this slate, but I'd be curious to get your take on this Miami side of the ball.
Yeah, so one, I definitely like Ware at his price tag. I think there's a lot of good center plays. I think that double center might be a route for me tonight, but I do think this is a spot where Ware could have a big game. You know, if Pele Larson starts, Haywood Highsmith, like small forwards really bad on this slate. It's a rough small forward slate. So I think they're in play just from that standpoint. I would lean Larson. I do think that his game's a little more all around than like someone like Haywood Highsmith. Highsmith might have like a better floor, honestly, though, as crazy as that sounds. Like Larsmith could be completely boom or bust. Andy is coming off a 40 burger, which does worry me a little bit because I don't like playing guys like him off of the massive games. So I definitely think they're in play. I think the better plays are on the Miami side. Tyler Hero's been really good recently. You know, he's in play. I prefer other spend ups, but you know, point guard only too, which stinks. But I definitely think he's still in the pool. And you know, the Washington side's the side more like, man, I'm not playing Sar. Poole, these rotations are absolutely terrible. Champagny, they start him and they don't give him any minutes. You know, Bub, I think his minutes are kind of trending down too. The guys they're trying to put, Vucevic or whatever his name is, he starts one game he doesn't play. The next game he plays like 20 minutes or 19 minutes. He's just someone, man, going, I don't trust at all. I think the guys from here are pretty clear. It's like, you know, they want to give AJ Johnson a bunch of run. I don't know why, but they want to. Their whole team's young. I get they're trying to lose games. I mean, that's probably why. But like, man, you should be playing Bub fucking 40 minutes. Like you should be playing some of those guys. I get not playing Poole and Sar big minutes. I get that kind of. But some of these other guys you should be. And then Colby Jones is small forward eligible. He's had 2 nice games in a row, 30 and 29 minutes. 4,500 does seem a little steep though for a guy who looks to me like he's pretty scoring dependent. But those are the guys I want to play. Like, yeah, I can't see playing any of these other guys though. I just don't see it, man, going.
No, I'm with you, and I've been talking up SAR quite a bit lately. It's hard for me to get the SAR today. I would like to, but it's just not the right matchup, not the right spot. Price has also gone up too. That's the other thing, so it makes it a little bit tougher.
Who on Washington do you actually want to play though? Seriously.
Do I want to play is a good question. I'll say this. I might want to play Tristan Vukcevic if he's starting, which I think he could, right? Because they might start Ware and Bam. You could see
that's the only way I could do it is if he starts. Because if he doesn't start, I'm always worried he doesn't play.
Correct. And do I want to play Justin Champagny at 5K? No. Do I want to play Carrington at 5K? No. Colby Jones, like at 4 or 5, is he in play? Yes. Do I want to play him? No. Right? Like that's just the point I'm getting at. Like I'm not dying to play him. It's not like I'm like, oh, I need to slam him into my lineup. So I'm with you. I want to be a lot lower on this Wizards team today. When I go through,
I definitely think Miami's got the better plays.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather play the cheap Miami guys, I think, than the cheap Washington guys. Just put it like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. And the one thing I will have to figure out is how am I allocating my Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Khalil Ware. I think I want the most of Khalil Ware just because of the price, but it's worth mentioning on DK, specifically DK. Center is very loaded. Not to say it's not loaded on the other site, but you might not want to use your spot for him. Maybe you want to use a power forward spot for Bam Adebayo, right? So that's something to think about for sure. Next game up, another 7 o'clock game, Clippers and the Orlando Magic. This is not an exciting game. If this, I know they don't play the playoffs against each other, JSU, but if this was a playoff game, right? You know, when like we play those 3-4 game slates, this would be the slate that we'd be like, okay, you fade this game completely. You know what I mean? Let people waste their ownership here. I mean, it's just such a slow game. The one thing you will run into, though, is if we have all this value, we can be interested, I think, in some studs, right? Like a Paolo Banchero, a Franz Wagner. Like, they make the pool. Are they guys that you're going to play in your 1 to 3 lineups as your studs? I don't think so, but I can't completely ignore those 2 options. James Harden, I'm not dying to get to him. I would like Zubac if it wasn't such a good center slate, but that's the problem. So I think if I had to pick a Clipper, I think it's Kawhi Leonard at 8-9. And then if I had to pick an Orlando Magic player, I think it's Franz Wagner because I assume Kawhi will be on Banchero a lot, and I think the price difference matters at that point. So those are the 2 studs I would be interested in, JSU. But again, I want to be low on this game overall. What about with you? I know you play 1 to 3 lineups. Curious to see if you're getting any exposure to this game.
Yeah, I probably won't. But if I was playing anybody, it's Kawhi Leonard because that dude he's been balling recently. Smashed Brooklyn, only 27 minutes too. It was a blowout. I think he had like the majority of his fantasy points at halftime too. I don't know exactly what he had at halftime, but he had a lot at halftime. But the game was just such a blowout, so he ended with 55. But he's just been really good. I talked about how small forward's not that great. Like if I'm going to spend up for a small forward, he's one of 2 guys in consideration that I have in my pool. So I agree with you on a different slate. I think I could look at Zubac more. I just think this slate, we're going to have so many value centers, and it's going to be tough to like get away from the value center man going. So Kawhi for me on the Clippers, the Magic. I always find myself like Paolo, Franz, and it feels like one of these guys has a good game. But man, it's just tough to get right sometimes. And in this matchup, not the greatest matchup. I might just leave it for someone else to guess right here with them. I get it if you want to spend up for them. They're kind of like pretty much the team, and it is just two guys. So, one of them's going off most nights, more than likely. But I think I'm just going to stay away, and I don't really see anything else that I like on this slate. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr., I never play that game. Even when he's popping, I never really play Wendell Carter, so I can't do that. Yeah, it's just, this is not an appeasing fantasy game. It's definitely a game that most people should be low on.
Yeah, not only that, if I sort by value on this slate, JC, I use the run pure projections, I go to SaberSim and I sort by value. Thomas Bryant, Big O, Dallin Terry, KJ Simpson, Drew Timme, Vucevic, right? The Wizards guy. And then your first forward that's going to be a good value is Saloon and then Haywood Highsmith, right? And then Kyle Anderson, Buzelis. Like, the forward value sucks. So the one argument I'll make, JSU, is if you're building teams and you are spending down at guard and center, I could see you getting to spend up forwards, right? Like,
but I'm not going to spend down at guard. So that's where we're different.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good guard plays, in my opinion, on this slate.
Yeah, I just want to call it out that, like, that if you're on the meeting too, like, you're naturally going to, like, probably get a little bit of these guys. I haven't ran too much, but I assume you'll get a little bit. You just got to make a decision. Do I want these guys or other studs, right? And if you do decide to fade them, you're not spending down at guard or like someone else. You might be spending up at guard like JSU.
Well, think about it too, Mango. Like, we're going to talk about a bunch of cheap centers, and on top of that, the OKC situation is not really clear because all the bigs are questionable. So what happens if everyone but one gets ruled out, and that one is just the nut if it that happens correctly? So, we got to wait on that spot as well. I just don't see how I don't take two of those spend down centers on my teams.
No, I tend to agree. And if I do spend up at forward, there are some like more mid-tier or like the second tier forwards that we could talk about maybe rather than going all the way up to a Banchero and a Kawhi, right? Like Bam Adebayo at 8'6". You could easily go to him if you want. Like, that's someone that we talked about a little bit earlier. All right, let's get to the next game. Kings and Pacers. This is the final game in that window. Actually, I should have mentioned too, in the Clippers and the Magic game, Bogdanovich and Cole Anthony, they're both questionable, but we'll see what happens. And honestly, if Cole Anthony's in, that really hurts Franz Wagner and Banchero. We'll see if he actually finally plays. But all right, back to the game we're talking about. Kings and Pacers. Not a lot of injury news here. We got Benny Mack, he's already out. Miles Turner, already out. And then Devin Carter and Jake LaRavia. So that's the situation with the Pacers. Kings, not a lot of injuries. Carter and LaRavia, like I said. So they got their core group, right? Sabonis, DeRozan, Murray, Levine, Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, I don't know if you saw, JC, he came off the bench the other day. I don't know if he's going to do that again, but that was people thought he was like a late scratch because he wasn't in the starting lineup. They just took him off the bench. So, I do think this team is a little bit crowded right now with the price tags they have. So, like, I don't see myself spending up at center for Sabonis. I don't like DeRozan that much, or Keegan Murray, Levine. So, Kings definitely going to be a team almost a full fade for me. And then when it comes to the Pacers side of the ball, of course, it's Thomas Bryant season, right? 3.2K has to be in the conversation. One thing I will mention, though, is this team, yes, I like Thomas Bryant at 3.2. I think he's a good play, but it's Rick Carlisle. You never know what he's going to do. Is it randomly going to be Tony Bradley playing minutes in the second half? I don't know. I should mention that he's going to be chalk, and it could be dicey. They could go Pascal Siakam at the 5 to match with Sabonis to close the game. That would not surprise me, but clearly Thomas Bryant is going to be a top value and a big decision point on this slate. You got Tyrese Halliburton in a revenge game. It is at home, but he's been playing some good basketball at 8.6K. He is probably my favorite stud in this game. My favorite value is probably Thomas Bryant. And then I don't know who like the next guy I would like on the Pacers side of the ball. So JSU, maybe I'll just listen to you. What are you doing with this Pacers team?
Yeah, so first off, Rick Carlisle is absolute evil when it comes to DFS. So trusting him is very tough for me. I will just say, if you are someone that Thomas Bryant's going to be extremely high owned, he's going to be one of the most popular plays on the DFS slate for a good reason. He's 3,200. He's expected to start, play probably mid to high 20s. And, against Sacramento, seems like a really good play. If you are someone who's going to fade him, just to find reasons to fade him, I do think two things are possible. Tony Bradley could take some minutes. Thomas Bryant could get in foul trouble. Sabonis plays a lot with the ball. That means a lot of time that, Bryant's going to have to guard, and not just like down low too, up, on top of the key. So, he can get in foul trouble. Tony Bradley could come in. The other thing they could do, which you brought up, was they could close with the smaller lineup. They could close with Obi at the 4 and Pascal at the 5. Which I think is very possible. And if that's the case, it probably makes Obi Toppin a pretty good play. So I think in lineups that I don't have Thomas Bryant Mangone, I think I want to have one of Obi Toppin or Pascal Siakam, because I think one of those guys probably gets there if Thomas Bryant is failing. And because I think that's more the likely scenario as opposed to Tony Bradley. And So I'm going to be high on those two guys. I think, like I said, there's a ton of centers. Thomas Bryant's just one of a bunch. And, is it possible that Big O and one or two other centers somehow outscore Thomas Bryant? It is. So that's the way I look at the big situation. I'm probably going to be a little heavier on Toppin and Siakam. I do also like Halliburton. I think this is a good game to kind of spend on top of it, Mangone, especially the Pacers. No Mathurin, no Turner, two guys that, are pretty solid scorers, fantasy options. So you take those two guys out. I think it just means more for the top tier studs, and maybe like Obi or Jarris Walker's another guy who could possibly get more run. He's a little more hit or miss. I think he's more of a 150 play, but if you're 150, and I'd keep him in the pool. So yeah, I definitely like the Pacers here. We talked about a few teams we didn't like. Pacers is definitely a team I'm going to like. Then the King side, I think the only guy that I have interest in is Sabonis. And it's kind of low level interest because I think I'm going to spend down at center. So I probably won't get to Sabonis, but I think he's the only guy I could actually talk myself into playing. If I was playing a ton of teams, I just don't see it with some of these other plays, Mangone. I mean, they seem pretty expensive on top of it.
Yeah, like I can't get there. Like even like I look at DeRozan, I'm like, could he get there? I don't know. I can't make it happen, right?
I mean, he could get there. He definitely could get there, but it seems like a lot to pay for that.
It's so unnecessary. So
yeah.
I'll find other ways to kind of build out my teams. They said Pacers side of the ball. The Thomas Bryant decision will be a big one, obviously, and it's a slate with a lot of good studs, right? Or not studs, centers.
Yeah.
A lot of good centers. And again, we've seen in these spots weird things happen. We've also seen guys like Obi Toppin at big games. I do think he's an interesting pivot. Probably won't have any ownership whatsoever on top of it. Yeah, I just want to be cautious. I'm not saying Thomas Bryant's a bad play, but there's a lot of good centers. Like for me, if I was playing 3 lineups, JSU, I know Thomas Bryant is 50% owned today, it sounds like. If I was playing 1 to 3 lineups and it was 3 specifically, like a 3 max contest, I think I'd only play Thomas Bryant on one of my 3. I'd be under, and there's really good centers on this slate, and I would take my chances with some of the other ones. I know it's risky, but there's a lot of good centers. So that's just something I would think a little bit about.
And a lot of chance for Rick Carlisle to screw it up for your benefit. So I'm with you, I think. Yeah. I'd probably only play him in 1.
And Thomas Bryant could have a monster game. It wouldn't surprise me. So and I'm not saying he's a bad play. I'm just telling you, hey, ownership is there.
I like the Siakam call, though. I think he's in a really good spot. He's 7,600. Yeah. I definitely think he could have a big game.
He's one of those like forwards where you can spend up, but you're not spending all the way up, right? You kind of mix it
right.
And you're playing it mainly because you're trying to leverage the Thomas Bryant chalk and hope he plays the 5 more, right? Which certainly could happen.
Yeah, well, that's the same way for playing like the Obi Toppin that you don't want to play him with Thomas Bryant. You're kind of leveraging and hoping that they play small ball a little bit and they run that Pascal Obi Toppin 4-5 combo. They did it at the end of the Dallas game a few games ago because all the big lineups weren't working. They even tried Tony Bradley at one point; it just wasn't working. So then they decided to go small, and it did magically work. So, Rick Carlisle might take a little bit, but hopefully it gets to that idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I do like Tyrese. I think he goes off. And yes, that Timmy character is the guy that played for Gonzaga. So he's very good at accruing fantasy points, but he's not a real-life NBA player. But, hey, we're not playing real NBA for the final 2 weeks of the basketball season, right? Like, it's just that's how it goes. So.
Yeah, those are the dudes too that crush at the end of the NBA season. So, and it feels like we didn't talk enough about Halliburton, but I do love Hallie as well. The Pacers team is definitely a team I want to be over on.
Yeah, I'm with you. JC, would you set a rule of max one of Toppin or Bryant? I could see it, but I just think they're so cheap. I don't know if you need to set the rule, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the idea. I don't think you need to set the rule. Steve's probably his idea is, what I'm talking about, which is kind of like I either want to leverage Thomas Bryant or I want to play him. So that's probably the way he's thinking, like, oh, I should definitely have. I mean, there are ways where both guys might not get there. I get what he's saying, man. Going like, there's just other cheap plays. So like, I think you lose certain combinations when you just say I need to have one of those guys, or would you set a rule max one? Could they both get there? They could. I would set the rule, man. Going the more I think about it.
One thing
he's saying I don't want them together. And I think that's actually a decent rule.
The only thing I worry about when I set that rule is like, and I remember I almost set that rule with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero the other day, and I wanted like 40% of each, and I was like, all right, then like all my lineups are going to have like one Magic, and like, do I actually want that? No. So if you're going to be, it just depends how aggressive you're going to be at the Pacers. I doubt you're going to be that aggressive with Toppin and Bryant, but keep in mind, like, you might end up having like 80% Thomas Bryant and 20% Toppin, and then like you have at least one Pacer on every team. And if that's what you want, great, but just think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which, the more I think about it, in my head, I was just like, okay, is he just saying I don't want these guys together, which I think is what he's saying, right? Or is he saying I need one of these guys on almost all my teams?
No, I think he's just saying he doesn't want them together, which I understand. But my counter is just make sure they're not on then like all your teams, because like sometimes you win slates because
Toppin's not going to be on that many teams, regardless of him setting that rule, unless he bumps Toppin. Like,
yeah, no, I know that's why I'm just calling it out, because like sometimes you win a slate because like there's good value everywhere, and you just didn't play any Pacers, and like other people played Pacers, and like you were just lower on them, and like that can win you the slate. So it's just worth mentioning.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's get to the Boston and Memphis. Jaylen Brown's questionable. Luke Cornett questionable. Al Horford, he's off the injury report. Same with Peyton Pritchard. That's all the news in this game. We didn't talk about this, JC, but what did you think of the firing of the Memphis coach? I thought that was out of left field for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was wild that they decided to do it like kind of close to the end of the regular season, and the team is, it's not like they're a non-playoff team, right, Mangone? Like they're in the playoffs right now, so they're in the thick of things. Like they just decide to fire their coach.
But Ja was sitting for a while, and then Ja magically was back the next game. So
there has to be, and I don't know if there's any. I haven't seen anything. I'm assuming that there was some player coach issues. I don't know what they were, but there had to be some serious player coach issues.
Had to be some.
Because you don't just fire your coach that, you've been winning games with. unless there's like an issue between that or upper management or something like that. Like it is just a weird situation.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I felt it was a very odd one. Let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies first. I know Zach.
I definitely think you could play these two together.
Yeah,
Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
You could play Siakam and Thomas Bryant or Siakam and Toppin together for sure.
For sure. So Memphis is pretty healthy, right? Jaws back, Bane, Aldama, price has gone down. It was in the 6Ks. Now it's at 5.6. I saw Zach Edey had a monster game the other day against the Lakers, which was surprising. He is 4.7. I'm not dying to play Memphis, guys. I want to be probably lower on them, and ownership definitely shows that. Boston side of the ball, I know Jaylen Brown, he got a new haircut today, fresh haircut. Maybe he decides to suit up with the fresh cut. But he's questionable, right? And if he does not play, it's going to help Jason Tatum as a spend. In a game against a good basketball team, right? And these guys play their guys. Porzingis, 8K. Derek White, 7.8. It feels expensive, but again, we have so much value. You can make the case that you could just play these guys and call it a day. I don't want to be too overweight on Boston. I think Tatum's probably my favorite one if I have to pick, but I need Jaylen Brown out, right? If Jaylen Brown is in, it's just going to be too crowded. I'm not going to be playing a lot of these guys, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, if Brown's in, I'm probably off the Celtics. If Brown's out, though, I could play Jason Tatum. Fits that small forward eligibility, going to have money to spend, in the Memphis spot. I think Jason Tatum could definitely have a big game here. The thing with Boston is right now they're winning games. They're kind of in that spot though, where like at some point, do they start like slowing these guys' minutes down, or do we think that happens like next week, as opposed to this week? Because it's got to happen at some point. There's just no reason for them to push for some of these games. But yeah, right now, this DFS, it just comes down to if Brown's in, I want no part of it. If Brown's out, then I think Tatum is the go-to guy here. The Memphis side, I'm not doing Zach Edey in this spot against Boston. I don't think so. I'll let him burn me here. I think it's a tough spot. I do think they probably play Santi more, which makes him an okay play, Mangone. He's dropped down in price. I think he makes a little bit of sense, but fully healthy Memphis, I'm probably going to be low on most of these guys as well. I just don't see many good plays here. And I see price tags that are, inflated big time because of, stars being in and out, Ja being in and out, Jaren Jackson being in and out, just a bunch of guys. So Santi, being in and out, so I'm kind of off this game for now.
You know what else makes this like I shouldn't say easy game to get away from, but a game that I'm just not dying to play too much of. This next game coming up, and this game starts at 7:30, and the next one starts at 8. But like, I got news in this late game that I definitely want to be waiting on, right? Like, it's important news, and if I fade guys from the early game, I certainly want to be making sure that I'm waiting around to understand what's going on in Chicago and Oklahoma City, right? I think this news is probably the key news of the slate, JC. Would you agree?
I think so. I definitely think it's big time news. Because like if Jalen Williams is starting and these guys are out, Mangone, then we want to play Jalen Williams. Like he has shown that the faders of Jalen with a Y, Williams, the center for OKC, when he starts, the faders are just they're not happy, Mangone, because he smashes to where you're just dead without him. So yeah, I think and it kind of feels like one of these guys, like one, maybe two play and one rest for sure. So it's like 1 to 2 play or 1 to 2 rest. It's like, it doesn't feel like they all probably play.
Yeah, and we'll see what they decide to do, right? And it's Jalen Williams is a good play, and Jalen, who's questionable, would be a good play as well. We also have Hartenstein and Chet. They are questionable as well with Jalen Williams. Guys that are already out, Aaron Wiggins, who that's an underrated injury, right? Like, it helps those bench guys for sure. And if you have these key guys out to them, then some of these other guys pop up. Mitchell, Dieng, Dukas, and Little, they're all out. And then on the Bulls side of the ball, they're missing Lonzo Ball, of course. Josh Giddey, he is in. Kevin Huerter, Trey Jones, they are out. So that matters here with the Bulls as well. It's a Josh Giddey revenge game. I know he's priced up, but he's been crushing. Kobe White can have a lot of opportunity. I think Buzelis could have a big game at 4-8. Of course, some of these other guys could pop up as good plays. And then OKC, I need this news, right? That's going to help me decide, hey, how good of a play is Isaiah Joe, Casey Wallace, Dort? Does Jalen Williams become a better play? Maybe one of Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein get a boost in this spot. Maybe they decide to go Jalen Williams at the 5 if all 3 are ruled out. And then it's just these giant small ball lineups all over the place. And, of course, SGA would be a good spend at 11K. So it's a lot that hinges on this game, JSU. Talk about how you're handling it, though.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, not the first time I've heard this one, but thank you. I will also say I've snatched up a few necks in my time, pulled a gilly once or twice in my day. So don't make me have to. Not saying I want to, but don't make me have to pull out the old Dagestani wrestling / grappling, sub your ass, binaire. But this game is definitely a game that I'm going to want pieces of. Josh Giddey, he seems like one of the better probably spends. SGA seems like another really good spend on this slate. I think, there's a lot of like the studs I'm going to probably want are in this game, but then we could also fall into some value too on top of it. So I definitely like, this spot here. Jalen Williams, it's going to depend on, I'm talking the expensive Jalen Williams, not with the Y. It's going to depend on what happens with these bigs. If multiple of these bigs are ruled out, then I think Jalen Williams becomes a better spend up. So I just want to see what happens with the news. If 2 of these bigs play, then not as high on Jalen Williams. If 2 of them do sit, though, then I think he becomes a better play. So wait for that. And then Matthias Buzelis, Mangone for Chicago. He's been really good. He had the big game last time out. But, like, on top of it, he played 38 minutes. That's the key. Like, so is he going to play 25 minutes like he's kind of been playing? Or is he going to play like 30s, upper 30s minutes? Because if he's playing 30-plus minutes, I think he's a pretty good play again. If he's not, and he's only playing like mid-20s, then I don't think he is. So he's kind of tough. Because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to lean that he plays the minutes, so I like him here. No Kevin Huerter, no Trey Jones. Ball's going to probably be out too, so they've got some guys out. Vucevic, I like the spot for Vucevic. I think it's a good matchup. It's just his minutes. He hasn't really been playing more than 32 minutes. I want guys, if I'm going to spend up, I want guys that at least have the chance to play more minutes. So, I mean, for me, I'm probably out on him. And then I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I mean, I'm probably not going to play the Isaiah Joes, the Lou Dorts, but I will just say, depending on the news, like, I would probably keep those guys in your pool. Cause like, if they do sit 2 of them, it's not just going to be those 2 studs with Aaron Wiggins out too. Like, one of these cheap guys probably does get there. I'd probably lean Lou Dort if I had to choose between them. But yeah, I want to see this news, man, going. And luckily we have a big in the next game, so we can keep a spot open for Jalen with a Y and just make sure we have like a pivot. Because we do have a big that we'll talk about next game here. So, yeah, I am going to be in on this game. I think this game and the Pacers are probably my 2 favorite spots overall, and then just kind of jamming in the value that we talked about from other spots. So those are the 2 spots I'm going to be heaviest on here for sure. Because I like SGA. I think we could see SGA and Giddey kind of go back and forth here. So I'd be fine playing both of them.
Yeah, man, my voice. I don't know what's happening with my voice. It's like dry. But, yeah, this is definitely going to be a good game we got to get exposure to. great reason to be in the Run Pure Discord so we can break it all down for you when the news comes in. We mention the guys that we like the most, help you out, answer questions, and of course, great reason to sign up is to check out the core plays and the playbook, all the stuff that we got at Run Pure using that code RPS15 for 15% off. All right, next game up to talk about. JSU kind of hinted at it a little bit. He hinted at the Brooklyn Nets and a big man that we're going to have some interest in, and it's Tim A. We're interested in Tim A because he's 4K, and honestly, he's a good fantasy producer. He might not start, right? He didn't start last time, but it didn't matter. He still had a good game. I mean, the Nets, the starters don't really matter. So I think he's a good play at 4K. I'm very interested in him. I'm definitely going to be looking to play him against this G League Mavs team, of course. Looking at this Mavericks team, I will say they are playing better basketball now they have Anthony Davis, right? I think they're 4-0 with Anthony Davis. They're not as much of a G League team, but hey, I still don't think this Mavs team is that great. PJ Washington is someone that I don't think is the worst play. Anthony Davis, 9.6, I don't want to spend up on him. Rather spend on some other studs. You can make the case that a Klay Thompson at 5.6, yeah, he could obviously pop. I didn't like him at 6.6, but I like him more at the 5.6 tag. Just talk about it, JSU, because I think Timmy is the best play in this game, and then trying to find the second best play is tough. I do have my glass of water, but it's not warm. It's cold. I don't know if that hurts or helps with my voice, but
yeah, I think you're maybe some hot tea for Mangone. Maybe someone run Mangone over a nice herbal tea or something like that. Get him going again. Get his voice back up here. I don't know what's happening with him, but
it came out of nowhere, JSU. But
yeah,
I guess,
it's just sometimes it hits you out of left field, man. You know, doing these shows like all the time and stuff like this. I will say sometimes like the voice just goes for whatever reason, and you know, you're like, what the hell? But so I know what you're going through. It's happened to me more than a few times here, but I will just say too, Big Cat, you know, Terry closed last time for Giddey, nice value. Yeah, if he closes again for, you know, one of these starters, I don't think he's going to close again for Giddey, but maybe he will. Giddey was Giddey was like questionable for this game, right, Mangone? But like you could tell he's like pushing a play. I don't think he was actually injured. It was like injury management, and he was like, "Fuck no, I'm playing in this game against OKC." So this game has to be somewhat personal for him. I don't know when they play next, but I think next game would be a game to maybe fade Giddey's minutes. Go under on Giddey's minutes, play some of those other guys. I feel like this is a game where the coach is going to let him kind of go at it a little bit. Are the Bulls locked in right now, Mangone?
Good question.
Are they like locked into their seed? Let me see. I'll pull it up.
No, I mean,
so the Bulls right now are sitting in 9th, and they are not locked into their seed.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I mean, I guess they're going to grind to try to get to 8. It's too early to say because they're 2.5 out of 8. 9 or 10, I mean, you get a home game, but does that really matter that much? No.
No. So they can't get to 6, right, which is the most meaningful, right, where they're not in the play-in.
But 8 matters.
They technically could lose every game, and Toronto could win every game and get out of the play-in. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I think 8 matters. Like, I think getting to 8 is a big deal. I mean,
which is possible. That's possible.
The Bulls are playing good basketball too, and I think they're having fun, which hasn't happened in a while for Chicago Bulls. I'll say that. But
yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I will just say. All right, so that makes me feel a little better. Because if they were like locked in, then I'd be like, oh shit, we should worry a little bit more, even in this spot.
But before you get into that, real quick, what team do you think? There's a team that's winning their division and they don't have a winning record. Do you know who that team is?
There's a team that's winning their division and they don't have a winning record. What side are they on, East or West?
They're on the East.
They're on the East.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Atlanta – is the Atlanta Hawks?
Yep, the Hawks, Magic, Heat, Hornets, and Wizards. That's the Southeast Division.
Oh, my God. That's such a bad division. That's so bad.
I know. Yeah.
How are they leading that division? That's crazy. That's some crazy shit.
They're 36 and 38, and they're up on the Magic by 0.5 games. So there you go. It's just a
That's
funny
wild.
So,
Absolutely wild.
but
All right. Travis.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. There was an awkward pause. I figured you were just going to talk about the game, but talk about.
I didn't know we were actually at the game, so I was confused.
That's my fault.
All right, we're at the Brooklyn game now.
Talk about. I mean, I think Timmy's the key piece, right? Timmy's going to be the key piece. I don't know what else you'll like, but Timmy's the biggest piece for sure.
So, I don't think they're going to run Watford. I mean, they could have ran Watford over Timmy last game, and they didn't. They chose to run Watford like 20, 24 minutes again. So it feels like he's probably going to stick around that. And if Timmy gets this run again, or it somehow even expands a little bit and he gets more, like I feel like he's going to have a pretty good game. Dallas is big. So you could see Brooklyn kind of match the size here, which would be really interesting if somehow like Timmy started, right, Mangone? What I hope for, though, I hope they somehow choose to start like Watford and Claxton, and then we get Timmy off the bench or something like that. That would be nice. Like if they started big, because like the Dallas side, I'm probably not going to spend up for AD. PJ's priced out. Najee's priced out. Spencer seems a little priced out, even though I will say he's had some big games. He's also had some really bad games. But he at least does have that upside that you want. Does get to go up against one of his old teams, but 6,600, he'd probably be like a last piece for me. I don't think I'm going to like try and play someone like Spencer Dinwiddie because I've just watched so much of him. In some games, he's just like completely out in left field, just not caring at all, and drives me nuts. So on this slate, I think there are better plays. I don't need to go there. And then on the Brooklyn Nets side, this is one of those teams, man, I'm starting to just not trust them at all. Like, I'm not playing D'Angelo Russell. I'm not playing Cam Johnson's out. Noah Clowney's out. Zaire Williams, I'm not playing him. Watford, nope. Like if they're going to run him 24 minutes off the bat, I refuse to do it. Not going to spend on Claxton. The only guy I can really get to is Timmy. The only problem with Timmy is it is a tough spot. Like, the Dallas down low, especially if they get back Gafford, which I think he's probable for this game, right, Mangone? Daniel Gafford, probable.
See, I didn't even realize that. I guess, he is probable. It's been a while.
So that just kind of adds to the defense a little bit. But I hope that hopefully the Nets start like the double big team. It would make sense against a team that I would assume healthy starts Gafford, AD, and Washington. That's a big starting unit. So Kai, they have Kai Jones too. Even if they just started Kai again, if Gafford's like in a minutes limit and they go Kai, AD, that I think the Kai thing, the only worry I have with Kai is Gafford being back. If he's not starting, then I think he's out of play. So that's the one thing. But it's the bigs for me. I want the cheap plays, and Timmy's kind of the one that's sticking out to me. I don't know if you see any other Nets that are cheap that kind of stick out to you, like Keon with Russell back. I don't want to do that. Zaire Williams, no thank you. Martin sucks. Jalen Wilson, can't trust him. I just don't want to do it with those guys.
Yeah, I want to be pretty underweight on these guys. Like, I wouldn't hate if I get like a little bit of like a Zaire here or there, right? Or like a Keon, but it's not a good spot for these guys. And obviously, when news hits, we could see better spots and just like want to cross this spot off, basically. So,
that's what I think happens pretty much.
Also, with Gafford back, that might hurt Washington a little bit too, which could be tough.
I think those guys are all priced out now.
Well, yeah, that is the other problem, the price. So, that makes it a little bit tougher for sure. All right, let's get the plays of the day, JSU. I know you got to get on out of here for an MLB show, but who do you got? Who is your play of the night?
Yeah, MLB coming up in about 4 minutes. Me, DC, possibly the big man could show up too. Big man for the birthday show. So stay tuned for possibly Big T on his birthday, coming in giving some birthday winners. Birthday winners, they win all the time, man. Going. That's all I'm going to say. They always win. They always hit birthday winners. So, coming up in about 3 minutes. So stay tuned on this channel. We'll be there breaking down the baseball. But for NBA, I think my guy I'm going with here, I went back and forth on two guys. I could have just given one of these center plays, which seems like an easy play, but I'm going to go with Josh Giddey. I'm going to go with the revenge Josh Giddey. Seems like right now he's coming in at like 10%. Seems a little low, I feel like, but I'm going to go with Mr. Giddey. Hopefully he gets his full run and, he smashes his old team. So I'm in on Josh Giddey. And I do like Obi Toppin, though, as like a cheap, low-owned guy if you're not playing Thomas Bryant. He's another guy I'll just throw out there.
All right, that's the play from JSU, Josh Giddey. I'll give you all another spend-up, JSU. You like him, and I like him too. Tyrese Halliburton. I'm in on him. I think it's a good spot for him. Little revenge game. So we'll get the double revenge for the plays.
Gotta finish the show with a little double revenge with Mangone. Always gotta finish with the double revenge.
I love it. Also, I know this is baseball news, but it looks like Jerickson Profar, he got tested positive for substance banned by the MLB, and he's suspended. So there you go.
He didn't even do shit either. I watched him yesterday. He sucked yesterday. Did he do anything at the end? In the beginning, I watched him. The Braves are terrible. Braves. I didn't watch the full game, so I don't know if they ended up coming back, but they stink.
They did not. I sent JT a text this morning, and it said 0 for 4, call me the Atlanta Braves. And it was this guy who he sent 4 Snapchats to chicks, and they never responded. So he's like 0 for 4, I'm going to be the Braves. So I was like, JT, congrats on your Atlanta Braves. They're 0-4, which I'm happy about as a Mets fan. And I like giving JT shit about that. So.
Jake, I know I gotta make a call to the barber, get in. Hopefully I can get in this week. It's Monday, so maybe towards the end of the week I'll get in.
JSU, I might be making a call soon. I might be. We'll see. It's been a while. I have not had a haircut in over a year. So there you go.
Let's do it, man.
Maybe it's a year now. I think I'm at a year right now. I think it was like early April when I got it last time, or end of March. So yeah, about a year and getting a haircut. So soon, we'll see. But all right, that will wrap it up for us. BG, you can go. Fuck yourself. We're going to get on out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show. For me, Mangone, and of course, JSU, who will be on the MLB show coming up next. We'll see you guys later.